fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scallion, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. Hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a resort to crime. You can't fool me again.
What we gonna eat no money, what we at you, eat no at you. Go be money, miss you, we eat the your little rat you. Use the youth, the money, waste a must a man to start you. Say me like a cashew, but bigger than a figure you. Take the spit of money, girl, and say that it's not you. On the head, the man above him, look him, I got a bet too much. It in the kitchen, some a fly well like a pat too. When singers and DJs and social media's coming at you.
It burn me.
300% raise.
It burn me.
Garbage pile of the day.
It burn me.
Give the teacher them raise.
It burn me.
I see corruption face.
It burn me.
Mash down the people them house.
It burn me.
Every day appear arms out.
It burn me.
Appear money them a thief.
It burn me.
And them a sell out with each.
Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scallion, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a resort to crime. You can't fool me again.
From me say big up all the charities and all of the givers. Some a go like say them powerful, me no make a bigger. The already promises, none of them not deliver. Cut up the youth, they rap and they down in a whatever. Member bold money and they lie them tell. Corruption smell and they pocket them swell. When police don't a market like Satan out of hell, go mash up people start like thief when them sell.
It burn me.
Or they treat the market man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat the cat man.
It burn me.
Or they treat the peanut man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat the dirt man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat the son man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat policeman.
It burn me.
How them a treat soldier man.
It burn me.
How them a treat everyone.
Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scallion, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again.
Stibby dim day. We in Global TV says certain kind of friend we no cape. And some informer friend we love lake. We in Global, bona fake friend and bona tape. We in Global, we not promote them, we not support them. Look at them on the cheek, come here represent for. We in Global TV, check it.
Good morning and welcome to the Global Television Group. Thank you for joining us this morning. It is one of my dehydrated mornings, so I'm not feeling myself much this morning. But the work goes on. Good morning to my community of party and all my family members. Good morning to the people on the Eastern timeline. Good afternoon to the people on the UK timeline. Thank you all for joining us this morning. There are many levels, but yesterday's news reporting, more and more I listen to it, it exposes so much different failure in our national security and in the Andrew Holness regime. Jason Kane, good morning. Shernet Burnett, good morning. Good morning and welcome. Sunshine, good morning. JamaicanTV.com, Prof. Gorgeous Lady, good morning. This morning we'll watch replay soon. Okay, thanks, Prof. Gorgeous Lady. Good morning. Debbie Jarvis, good morning. Sunshine. Marcia Thomas. Paula Shelley, Marcia Este, Shauna Smith, Jason Kane, Georgia Dennis, Veteran Wagwan, Izzy Holder, Patricia Matthews. Good morning, all, and welcome, Joan Higgins. Miguel King. Good afternoon to you, Miguel. Good morning. Carla Richard. Monica Hawthorne, good morning. Where is Beat and Teach? Morning. Sim, cousin Jamie, good morning. Abinasar Cody, good morning. Ladybug, good morning. Annie Jones. Agency Driver 5. Well, go on. Elaine Turner, good morning. Ubuntu, good morning. Annie Jones, good morning. Lorraine Barrett, good morning. Noreen Robinson, Shaman Ranger, Christine Gilbert, Bruce. Good morning, all, and welcome. Thank you for joining us, Carleen Humphreys. I never planned Danette Harriet. Me did plan seminar give certain people airtime over here. But when you speak directly to the diaspora, I am one of them, Mavis Forbes. And when you put on your PhD to speak to me and make it look like because you have your PhD, you're so bright and you understand it all. And because I don't have my PhD, I'm dunce and I can barely figure it out. That is insulting. Little girl. Elaine Campbell. Precious Allen. That is insulting. Who am I talking about? Doctor, whatever it called itself. Some of you may know who it is, because when them ready to put on them degree and them qualification and their expertise. But this fool was writing in response to the protest that will take place in New York on Friday. This big girl's blouse, this Mumalashi-ism, is telling us we must not attend the protest, nor should we listen to the misinformation that is coming from those. The thing is, though, this so-called whatever it is sought to set us straight by telling us how much of a shiny object that this government is. Quite a shiny object. There's no doubt the economy is in the best shape it has ever been for a very long time, is what it says. Carlos Gray. Me a rub the little nasty girl here. Mama Lashe part 2, me a rub out. Because you see, when they put on them degree coat, Carlos, and when they put on them brightness, Carleen Jones, if you come talk to dunce like me, then dunce like me can only respond duncely, because there are levels to dunceness. There are levels to dunceness. You have what is called the temporal dunce. That dunce is the one where dunce to the world, the natural world as you see it around them. You have what is called the spiritual dunce. Them were dunce to God and things and time and even themselves and them purpose. Spiritually dunce. You have what is called the general dunce, those who are just dunce for the sake of it. You also have what is called the qualified dunce, which are those with their westernized certification and qualification. You have the hypocritical dunce, and a lot of them are painted also in these qualifications. Those which are blinded by their political narrative and political ideology. Hypocritical dunce. You have naturally born dunce. Them will never make it at school. Whitestone, good morning. Them with Jamal never work for. And then you have me, the all-rounder dunce. We can fit and match in any dunce category. So we can keep up with the whole of them. Florence Hamilton. But when Dr. So-and-so, Dr. up the government rear end, Elaine Campbell, is telling us that violent crime is down to a 2-decade low. What Dr. Thingy here is telling us, it really looks up, Christine, persons heading for destruction. That's what PhD mean these days. So this big girl blows on screen here is telling us for 20 years, we have never seen violent crime so low in our country. You see, or I mean not hear what you say, or I mean not understand what you say. 2 decades, not 20 years. Brown man security, 3-3, good song, well gone. 2 decades at 20 years, isn't it? When the Jamaica Labour Party took over from the People's National Party, the high point of our crime rate was just, or of our murder rate in particular, was just over 1,200. Way too high. Even 12 would have been too much. But this government campaigned and leaving your doors and windows open like when media grow and everybody look after everybody in the community. The Andrew Holness-led regime said, I want to bring you back to when we used to walk barefoot. And the whole we trust one another and look at one another. The Jamaica Labour Party has not managed to get murder, which is a consequence of violent crime, dear old thingy rather. Murder, which is a consequence of violent crime. The government cannot, in the last 8 years, get that number under the number, Cousin Myrna, how you do? Cannot get that number under the just over 1,200 when they took over from the People's National Party. The murder rate continues to soar. Is murder not a consequence of violent crime? Or murder is something where we just fall away and we sleep so and wake up and sleep murder that way. So it's not really violent because asleep we never meet, no stress and no ordeal. Claudette Robinson. So if the murder rate continues to escalate, how then would violent crime gone down if murder is a consequence of violent crime? How is violent crime down when you can't get down murder? What Triple X did the other day when he used him cow hand and cow foot and Worcester woman all over the place was also violent crime. But we just had talk about murder. Because this was one of the Prime Minister's narrative also. If you remember, Arami one, for me ears just walk and hear things way enough to hear. Did the Prime Minister not run this narrative during the last November JLP, what you call that same thing that would end the yearly conference? Did the Prime Minister not come and tell we that violent crimes were down? Violent crimes are down, James. So violent crime is down. If violent crime is that low over the 2 decades, the murder rate should really be going down if it has never been so low. He even went on further. The government has been able to pass on benefits to the people by cutting GCT. Hold your horses. Did you not hear Andrew Holness say, okay, when did him pass on those benefits from the good economy to us? Because he promised us, you see, he promised us in February on the local government election campaign that because he has spent the last 8 years with his team making sure it fixed good at the macroeconomics level. This is why us at the microeconomics level were ignored. Therefore, he planned then to start sharing what is going on at the macroeconomic level down here with us at the microeconomic level. So at what point, Dr. Thingy Rather, Biggs Girls blows, Evra Warmington Lucky, at what point the government starts sharing those benefits? And can you identify any of the people who would be able to argue that I have benefited from the government trickle down? I wasn't ready to put on Jackie Graham. Wasn't ready to put on a bright suit, on a bright titles, and come out here, come make we look like we're a fool and make we look like we're dunce. Head teacher K. Norman Ferguson, how are you? Come make we look like we're dunce. And we should only understand things when people with PhD conundrum speak to us. Explain to us how the economy is in its best shape and how the country is benefiting from that best shape the economy has been in for a very long time. Come out here, Dr. Whatever, and help us to identify the people who have benefited from this very good economy. Also, help us also to understand if violent crime is at an all-time low for 20 years, 2 decades. Hey, Janet Riley, how are you? Help us to understand if murder is a consequence of violent crime. Kamar Johnson, Marie Messenger TV. And if murder is a consequence of violent crime, and violent crime is going down, why is it then that murder isn't going down? Sheriff Fulton, why is it that murder isn't going down if violent crime? From last year, November, wholeness around this narrative, Tony Tal. But this boy on screen here picked up a lot of false, failed government narrative. And I try to come convince we say we not bright enough to understand, say, the Diaspora Intervention Task Force, Sharon, is misinforming us. We've been given misinformation by the Diaspora Intervention Task Force, and therefore we shouldn't participate in that protest because we've been given misinformation. And with his illustrious degree in education at that, his Dr. Bruha in education says to tell you that the economy has been in its best shape, Kenroy Johnson, in a very long time. Violent crime is at an all-time low for 2 decades. The government has passed on the benefit of the thriving economy by cutting GCT, increase pensions for senior, and funding has been made for youths to attend the Heart Trust Skills program free of cost. In Terry Long words, if that is not transformational, I don't know what is. Dion Johnson. Transformational, they call it. So this is one of the government's preke that been given the old tired narrative. What the whole we tired of? What the whole we know say a lie? What the whole we know so no can't prove? Government send you out to come debunk. Look here. You see, when you walk up with another degree, keep it within the cloak of your academic gown. I know everybody degree worth speaking about. I know everybody degree authorize them to come and speak to the public. There are common sense don'ts. There are also book don'ts. There are also the unable to think don'ts. Those who think on others' narrative is what this thingy here is saying. You must think on the government narrative. You shouldn't be able to critically think for yourself. I would hope of blowing out the fact. You shouldn't be able to critically think for yourself and come up with rational reasoning. Just swallow the bitter pill, the tainted Kool-Aid that we are giving you. Hook, line, and sinker. And everybody degree we're talking about. You don't notice me really ever talk about my degree? Because to me, it's something on paper, it worth much to me. Because a whole heap of people me meet with degree we don't have common sense. A whole heap of people with degree don't know how to cross road. A whole heap of people with degree don't know how to strike matches. So degree is not something where me waller up and rub up. Same how now I walk and call myself doctor this and doctor that. When I sign my name, if I want, I can sign my name Wayne XYZ LLB. I have no need to use such title. It don't mean nothing to me. Me know say me dunce. Me no know if uno know say me dunce. But me know say me dunce because there are levels to dunceness and there's reasons for dunceness. But when you get lost in a dunceness, it's a total different thing. Because when you get lost into something, it's like the old love blindly situation. So you, with your years of qualification, expertise, and teaching, nothing don't show you, say Daniel Taylor. Nothing don't show you, say you can think, Maureen Cummins, independently for yourself as a PhD. When we go through that training cycle in the academic system, the higher up you go at the academic level, you have more speaking leverage, Feline. You're given more gateway to speak, but when you become the so-called doctor or professor, you have been given latitude to speak. But when you use that speaking latitude to misinform and dumb down the people in order to get them to think in line with you and your government, that is something when I go work round your son. You know, so we are guardrail for dunceness, we are guardrail for brightness, we are guardrail for confusion, we are guardrail for misinformation, we are guardrails for lies. So that's why I'm a general dunce. I can fit in with anyone on at whichever level you're qualified. Whichever dunceness, whichever dunce angle or territory you come from, I can guarantee you, as long as you're communicating in body language and English language, I will be able to match up to you. Because what a lot of you don't understand, in the Western academic system, the higher up you go in the academic ladder, is the duncer you ought to come out to be. Why? Because you know so much, and you have been taught and trained and signed on the dotted line not to say enough. There's a lot of us who have gone through the academic system, whether we study law, medicine, education, technology, but especially in medicine and law, you do find out a lot of the, beg your pardon, fuckeries and shenanigans of how this world is set up and how people are treated based on different criterias. You understand some internal holdback in the system, and a lot of us, or a lot of them, because of their salary, their mortgage, their middle class or upper middle class lifestyle, their expensive holiday, their educated and influential circle of networking friends. So a lot of people who know better and know that we are living in a big wallop of a lie goes on with it for the aforementioned, the mortgage, the fancy car, the holidays, the social circle of friends, the status ladder that you've managed to get yourself onto, beat and teach. How you do? So when you have dunce coming at you, you have them coming from different levels. You have the know better but don't do better dunce them. Those who are deliberately out there to deceive you. Those who are there to continue to hold you in spiritual or material content in order for the status quo to run on. So don't underestimate dunceness. There is levels to it. Some of the people who are given the opportunity to mess this world up, mess your country up, look at TV, there are levels of dunceness to them. Brightness don't mean say you don't dunce. And dunceness don't mean say you don't bright. You can be dunce to certain. You see, just like and quite linguistic or inform, I would say. But when it comes to numbers, I'm very backward and dunce. I have no problem with that. Just looking at numbers, trying to count above 10, I become totally stupid and confused. So there are levels to dunceness, there are reasons to be dunce. But when other people try to use their dunceness to stare you, there's a problem, is the holder. When other people are using their level of dunceness to stare you, then there is a problem. If all of us want to be independently dunce, make we dunce, because that's how a country run, that's how a world run. It run by anger, friendship, status, privilege, and those who have the power to maintain the aforementioned. Sometimes when we try to be too over bright, we miss a lot of it, because thieving and dunceness are corruption and them something there. A dunceness, the thieving, the corruption, the lie, it's a level of dunceness within our political or governance system. That level of dunceness comes from protecting stolen goods. It comes from protecting crime. Wayne Evans. There are levels to dunceness. Dunceness run with country and dunceness run with society. Because I guarantee you, if with society and the world never run dunce, it would have been run better. Oops, why are you asking me to do that? Since lockdown, Herbert Chuselin, is it that the government enjoy attacking poor people, or poor people don't realize that the government or the state is attacking them? Is it that the state is attacking poor people, or is it that the poor people don't realize that the state is attacking them? Sound quite a jumble up of a question, isn't it? But to my recollection, since lockdown, this is about the third or second time, but it wouldn't be the first since lockdown, that Rare Market burned down. Why Rare Market always, Albert C? Is there a state attack on poor people to take over that land space? I wonder if it promised to any overseas developers. Because I don't understand why it's always Rare Market coming under attack. We're gonna like up the live for me now, please. I'm tired and I still come out here. Me dehydrated and I still come out here. Me sit down in front and I'm tired because of my dehydration and I still come out here. Can you all like up the live for me, please? Please and thank you. National Solid Waste Management Agency. We could give you some advice when you want to sharpen things. So I could go and look at advice. Country girl, good morning. You see, if you want market fee since the arrival of, hold on there. No, the increase in market fee fires since the arrival of the mercantile Chinese. Yes, love. That's why I ask the question, head teacher. Is this plot of land promised to any developers? Because I walk and bun down Rary about 3 times now since lockdown. Rary, I can't get my foot in the Rary, come on that side. It is the 3rd time, I believe, since lockdown. But I know it's not the first. It would at least be the 2nd. But Rary, a place where bun down regular. Why are poor people being attacked? I always maintain that in order to be a government minister, you must first be manager, no matter what field or profession you're coming from. You must understand the principle of management. That's true. Remember, Global TV bill have to pay also. Please hit the like button. Absolutely. Deadman Mackenzie being wanted that land long time. Really? Desmond Mackenzie always a put up tussle over things gonna belong to him. The same way the road work and the market. The market and the thing one road work. What did Fido in a Portland? Him and Darrell Vaz did in a one big old wallop of a war over it as to whose contractor does it and who get the kickback money. If you want to know the quickest way to get Desmond Mackenzie in a riot, touch Desmond Mackenzie kickback money. And then you will see how all hell break loose. Just last year, correct me, I remember me, Myrna, how much million the St. Elizabeth Municipal Corporation, when so much infrastructure failure in St. Elizabeth, Bernardans, the St. Elizabeth Municipal Corporation, Patricia Williams, give back Desmond Mackenzie how much money for Cartown. Remember me the amount there, please, Myrna. For car back at town. When St. Elizabeth have a waffle of failing infrastructure. So to we know so now get done son one last it. Gloria Morris, how are you? Make we advise you know, because this is one of the things the government promised also on the election campaign. Them are going to do with road with water and them are going to pick up with garbage. If Jamaicans have their solid waste or their rubbish or whatever collected on a regular basis, the illegal dumping you're talking about across the country is a consequence of local government failure across the country in order to collect or waste adequately and expeditiously. Failure. So this is not the failure of the Jamaica people, because we now go in our yard and make the rubbish, then bury it in there. We're going to throw them when you can't find them. Because the art of burning them is not really good for the environment. But sometimes it's what the people are left to do, because rubbish soars and swelter across the country. We live in a very hot climate, even at night. Our climate is still humid and warm, or whatever you want to call it. So this is not much about the people. The people want you all to do your work. And then once you do your work, the people don't have to do the illegal disposal of their waste. Don't remember the exact amount, but it was a couple millions that the then Mayor Derek Sangster for the St. Elizabeth Municipal Corporation gave back to the Black River Mayor, gave back millions to Desmond McKenzie to take back to Kingston, when there are a lot of infrastructure failures in Black River, in St. Elizabeth. These are the things we endure with the so-called politician them. Now, the president of the Jamaica Teachers Association came out, and he's saying some things which I agree with, but hold on there. Hold on there. Where's my phone? Let me see if I can find it quick on the computer. He's saying some things which I agree with, but I do also think he should have gone further. It's not just the government and the school that need to take on the issue of violence in our school. I think it's a concerted effort. It's a concerted effort by everybody to deal with this problem. Lyndon Johnson has added his critical voice to the call for the government to launch a national assault against the deepening problem of violence in school among students. However, Mr. Johnson and the Jamaica Teachers Association, which he leads, should go further. They should grasp and take ownership of the campaign, including telling the government in specific detail the tool needed by their members at the level of school to give a campaign reasoned chance of success. The Jamaica Teachers Association also take on the role of honest broker between the government and the political opposition in best interest of students and Jamaica's development. While the problem of school and students is not new, in recent weeks, Jamaica has been seemingly inundated with physical altercation between students and campus and other public spaces. 2 children have been killed by fellow students on school compound, and several viral social media images of public brawl between viral groups out there. In one case, a student leader of 2 high schools whose colleague engaged in fight made public pledge for peace. The development has triggered renewal calls, including Sunday's intervention by Mr. Johnson for the government to do more to stem the problem, which the teachers' union president warned had the potential to cripple the nation. Hang on there. Oh, thingy, why do you do that? Eat the gleaner attitude, you see? Hold on, the people, I'd come up over the page where they want to move, and it's irritating me. But we're almost at the end of the article, so. Hold on there. These developments have triggered renewed calls, including Sunday intervention by Mr. Johnson for the government to do more to stem the problem, which the teachers' union president warned had the potential to cripple the nation. The education minister said the education ministry, he said rather, should give school more money to hire additional guidance counselor and social workers that are required to implement and undertake home-based and community-based intervention. Violence, whether in school or within the community, poses a significant barrier to learning and to national development, Mr. Johnson told a church service to mark the start of the annual Teachers' Week. Instill fear, disrupt classroom, it hinders the academic progress of other students and stagnates growth. Mr. Johnson called for a school and student-centered yet bold multi-sectoral intervention has echo of strategy proposed by this newspaper and others in face of the upsurge of in-class aggression and campus violence when students return to physical class in 2022 after a 2-year hiatus because of the COVID-19 pandemic. There are apparent overlaps between the JTA ideas of position suggestion for addressing the crisis and solution the Education Minister Favor Williams say have already been implemented. What is absent is, it seems, is a coordinated, genuine national and stakeholder engagement after that ensures the best. So, hold on. What is absent, it seems, is a coordinated, genuine national and stakeholder engaged effort that ensures the best idea have a real shot of being effected, no matter the political strip or their origin. The crisis facing Jamaica society and the student demands it. Indeed, more than 1,000 Jamaicans are murdered annually, and the island homicide rate hovers at a 50% per 100,000, exacerbating the social instability that Mr. Johnson pointed out as being bad for teaching and learning. These stresses tells on the island's children. 8 out of 10 say they have witnessed violence in their community. 6 out of 10 have encountered it in school, and 3 out of 10 admitted having used violence. Additionally, before the onset of COVID-19 pandemic, UNICEF and the United Nations Children Agency report that 1 in 6 Jamaican adolescents, 16.4%, suffered from a mental disorder. That problem could well have been exacerbated by the pandemic and other problems in the society. It is against the backdrop of 14 months ago, the Jamaica Gleaner called for the government to assemble a brigade of psychologists, uh, a brigade of psychologists, school guidance counselor, welfare officer, people trained in dispute resolution skill, as well as other volunteers to support teachers in an assault on the behavioral problem of students. Separately, Damian Crawford, the opposition shadow education minister, called for, among other things, guidance counselor headed Department of Socialization of in all schools for the creation of Department of Volunteerism in the Education Ministry to coordinate the efforts of Jamaicans who want to contribute to their national mobilization against the problem. Claiming that the government was neither doing significant nor being creative enough in dealing with the crisis, Mr. Crawford last week reissued a 20-point plan for addressing the issue, and Minister Favour Williams to discuss its implementation. It is not clear whether the minister accepted the invitation, but she said that several of those and others initiatives were already being implemented and in some cases just need scaling up. This is where the Jamaica Teachers Association can assume a significant role when competitive politics is in play. Even the same statement, built on the same logic, almost inevitable concern becomes suffused rather with the loss in a partisan bubble. Common interests get lost or become secondary posture. As an honest broker, the Jamaica Teachers Association can keep all parties to the common language and focus on the common cause. Though it reaches in school, it also more accurately gives governments an unvarnished assessment of what is really needed to get the job done. It may also be to do something else that has not been seriously attempted or achieved in Jamaica for nearly half a century: the mass mobilization of the society around a single purpose, as was done in Jamal movement promotion for adult education. This should be the pillar of the campaign against violence in schools among children and of broader education transformation project. That's the end of the article. But I would have want him to go further in bringing in the homes and the community on board in this intervention, because it is something that I have been, they call it multi-sectoral or however you want to describe it, but all the different agencies, social worker, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, all of these, child protection, the religious society, all of these people from JCF, everybody who can have an input from the homes, from the community, everybody can have an input in dealing with the violence violence amongst our children, but also the violence across our country, because it is that violence that our children are witnessing across our country, be it right in front of their eyes or on social media. That violence is also affect them psychologically. That violence is also allowing their mind to think violently, and therefore by thinking violently, one may also carry out violent actions. So the woman, I agree with a lot of what was said in this article. That's why I'm painstakingly in my tired self read it out to them, because there is a lot in it that I agree with, but I think there is a whole lot more space for the family and the community as a part of this multi-sectoral intervention team. Because here, sit down and stare out of face at the problem, only tell us that the problem is going to get worse. It is the same way we have sat down and stare out of space with the violence across our country for decades now, until see where it is at, or silent, or turning a blind eye to the violence, the criminality that's going on around us. Didn't really protect us as community, nor as society. So it is time that we engage meaningfully in order to deal with the problem. Let's remind ourselves of this confusion. We're up to right now. Me still confused. Me don't know out of the multitude of liars and deceptors and deceivers who for story to believe. Because everybody's story have a hole in the bottom.
Back to Primetime News, and a special welcome to the folks watching on onespotmedia.com. First up this evening, a response from the Ministry of National Security to a TVJ News exclusive about the status of over 200 Indian nationals who arrived in the country last week. It's been revealed that they are scheduled to leave in a matter of hours. Our reporter Dwayne Anderson has been following the story and now joins us live. Dwayne?
Right, thank you, Archibald. So what do we know at this point? Well, first of all, a total of 253 individuals arrived in the island on the chartered flight. That number includes the crew members. Now, pictures we saw late Monday afternoon showed these passengers lining up in the pre-boarding area at the Norman Manley International Airport. They were taken back to the airport to be sent home tonight. The Ministry of National Security said Monday's activities at the airport were part of the finalization of arrangements for their departure. The government says the cost of their accommodation and return will be the responsibility of the charter company and not the government of Jamaica. But for many observers, their departure does not mean the end of the matter. And many of the outstanding questions were put to the Ministry of National Security, which admitted that the flight which arrived in Jamaica on Thursday, May 2, received the requisite approvals for operating from the Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority. We also spoke exclusively with the managing director of the airline company. His company owns the plane that flew the chartered flight into Jamaica.
Until the very day, I don't know. The citizens we had on board do not require a visa for Jamaica. We brought them there in good intention, and also to pick them up in good intention. They were then refused. Until the very day, we do not have a statement from the Jamaican authorities why we are being detained or why we are being delayed to leave again. This is unacceptable, and we have still, up to the very time, received no explanation what is going on. And initially the flight, and I think this caused some hesitation, the flight was to go there, drop off the passengers, the crew does 14 hours rest, then we would have gone ferry flight to Havana, ferry, as I said, empty, to Havana. We have some passengers waiting there since a week now to be picked up and to be brought back to their destination. And then we would have returned to pick up these passengers again and phone them back. This was our itinerary.
He also feels the Jamaican government breached international law when they impounded the plane on the tarmac at the Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston, and it is costing them a lot of money.
We had to subcharter several aircraft to cover the schedule of aircraft, which cost us millions of dollars. Or more than 1%. We normally calculate in dollars, but well over $1 million.
The Jamaican authorities, while not responding to the airline's boss, say they were alerted to the operation of the flight based on what appeared to be anomalies and missing details from its initial permit application. Additionally, the authorities indicated there were 2 passengers on the flight who did not appear on the passenger manifest. This led to investigations by PICA, and based on those checks, the decision was taken by immigration officials not to grant the passengers leave to land in Jamaica. But concerned Jamaicans are asking, why were the passengers then allowed to roam the streets of downtown Kingston given all the red flags? Our news center captured images of them shopping, sightseeing, and enjoying downtown Kingston on Sunday. The government said they were to be under police guard, but we did not see any police officers with them. The Ministry of National Security, in response to why they were allowed to leave the airport's precincts, explained that given the duration of the flight, as well as civil aviation regulations for the minimum rest period, they decided it was impractical to have the passengers wait in the plane or at the airport. They were therefore allowed to leave the airport on humanitarian grounds and go to Rock Hotel in downtown Kingston, where they had reservations. No, the matter doesn't quite end there. We were also reliably informed by our sources that members of this group of Indian nationals were attempting to enter Jamaica from as far back as September 2023. Now, the real reason for their interest in Jamaica is not clear at this time, but at that time, our sources say tourism officials were told they said they wanted to visit Jamaica for quote-unquote tourism purposes. Now, the tourism ministry, after making checks, detected what it called red flags and said that type of entry was a no-go on their part. Now, we were also told the Indians then reached out to a Jamaican sportsman to lobby the Jamaican government on their behalf for entry. However, the red flags, which included questionable security background of some of the individuals, meant the matter was not pursued. Now, our sources say the tourism ministry is therefore shocked that they eventually made it to Jamaica this year. Archibald.
So, still several questions to be answered. Dwayne Anderson covering that story. Over to you, Jenna.
I wonder who is that sportman? Real Sweet, JP, Elaine Campbell. How are you? Kemar Johnson. I wonder who that sportman is. Influential. We have quite a few of them, but some are more influential than others. But every time we listen this galangin, there's a lot about it that is not right. So let us ask you all to cooperate with us, the people. We're living in a footprint era, a communication footprint era. Publish then the flight itinerary. And to the Jamaicans authority, when was permission to enter Jamaica airspace requested? When was permission to land in Jamaica requested? And when were both requests granted? Help us to bring clarity to that area. Provide us clarity in that area, as well as to Mr. Martin. Publish the flight itinerary. Publish the communication between the Jamaican Authority, Yvonne Johnson, and your flight crew or the administrative team for your flight crew, Pauline Robinson, who would have gone through the necessary paperwork. Werner. Who would have gone through the necessary paperwork before the flight leave Dubai, Pauline Dixon? Every time on open on a mouth, it's a blunder. Because at first we were meant to believe that permission was sought in midair, because never know of them coming to Jamaica. Then now the Minister of National Security is telling us that the permissions were granted, albeit there was some anomalies and missing information and their permission requests. What are those missing information and what are those anomalies? Publish the flight itinerary. Publish the track record of communication between the Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority and the Jamaica Airport Traffic Control and the flight operators. Because one has said this and one has said that. What would help us and guide us, the public, is to have documentary evidence regarding this dispute so we can see the initial communication and the level of communication that was done, the permission that was sought, the response to the permission that was sought, when the permission was sought, when it was granted. If there are missing information, what are they? If there are anomalies, what are they? And did you request for those missing information and those anomalies to be rectified prior to the flight entering the country? There's so much questions that we have to ask these people. So many. The problem is, though, there's nobody that will be willing or able, and it's not really able, is willing to answer our question. Another question to ask, because you see now the international, commercial, and contract lawyer people, this is where commercial lawyers or corporate lawyers rub their hands with glee. When a country and an airline operator is locked into a lawsuit, this is where corporate and commercial lawyers rub their hand with glee. This is even where those who have international arbitration qualification and license rub their hand with glee. These big commercial lawsuit era, I cannot see how this will possibly not go down in a lawsuit, because the Jamaican government is saying that the people stay over and all of that is the financial responsibility of the airline. The airline is saying Jamaica is in violation of international law. These kind of talks normally end up in a lawsuit. And if it does end up in a lawsuit, you, the taxpayers, Tony, my guess is as best as yours. The problem is, will the Minister of National Security or one of his team at Custom or Immigration would be able to tell us, is there an ongoing investigation? My question, though, Tony, would be to the Americans. Is there an ongoing investigation on part of the Americans with regards to this unfolded debacle in their backyard? I have very little faith in the Jamaican authorities. But I do hope him soon gone party. I do hope, though, that the Americans have taken a great interest, as people of interest has been ushered into their backyard via Jamaica. So I would be more concerned as to what steps are the Americans taking, and is the Americans have an active investigation ongoing into this scandal. But thank you all very much for being here this morning. May I go treat my dehydration now? Join us back here tonight for the people's point of view. But by the way, we don't know if the plane gone yet. All me there talk, me don't know if it gone, you know. No, I don't know if the plane gone. Does any of you know if the plane gone? Let me look. Because all of us me there talk. Me don't know if it gone or not. Me know say them attempt from Tuesday. So them a go. But are they gone? Are they still there to itch up? Christine Gilbert say yes, they're gone. Okay. The plane gone, man. Okay, thank you, Sean Hall. Anyway, thank you all. Meet me back here tonight for the people's point of view.